Time and time again, I hear exasperated leaders complaining. Why can't my colleagues take more ownership? How come it's always me who has to think about everything? I'm sure you know this feeling too, right? Well, in this video, I will show you how your helpfulness actually damages your colleague's sense of ownership, and I'll give you some tips to get out of this helpful boss syndrome. And make sure you watch until the end, because I'll also share 2 powerful coaching questions with which you can boost your colleague's sense of ownership. One day, my direct report, let's call him Peter, came to our one-on-one meeting totally frustrated. There was a serious crisis situation in his biggest, most crucial client project. It turned out that the project team had been facing some complications, and with the deadline fast approaching, tensions were running high. I wanted to help Peter so much. So, I immediately switched into my helpful advice-giving mode. I came up with lots of suggestions and ideas. And, sure enough, by the end of our discussion, we had a plan. I could see how relieved Peter was, and I was happy. After a week, it seemed that the project was back on track again. Then, about 3 weeks later, it came to light that a crucial step of the project still hasn't been taken care of. That task simply got forgotten. What an oversight! I was really annoyed. So I called Peter about this immediately. He was a bit confused and said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was supposed to take care of that. I thought you would do it." "But this is your project," I said, exasperated. "Why is it always me who has to think about everything?" Now, Peter was not some lazy guy who always tried to slip out of his responsibilities. Quite the opposite. He was the most proactive, hardworking team lead. Neglecting something as important as this was so out of character for him. And that made me think, maybe I played a part in this? Let's just rewind. What exactly happened in that one-on-one? Well, my eagerness to help Peter, my well-intentioned advice, somehow diminished his sense of ownership for this project. It wasn't his project anymore. It was our project. The responsibilities were blurred. The more dominant I got in the discussion, the more he leaned back and relied on me. And this is what I call the helpful boss syndrome. Do you recognize this pattern? Your colleague comes to you with an issue. You're eager to help, you give lots of advice, you push for a solution. Your colleague then leaves the meeting relieved and grateful for your help. But, as it later turns out, with a lower level of ownership for the plan and for the whole project. Because the more advice you give your colleagues, the less they will own the solution. And it's not just me saying this. Scientific research also indicates an inverse relationship between getting advice and ownership. According to neuroscientist Cembey Engelman's research, when advice is being given to people, their brain offloads. In other words, the brain basically goes into neutral, and the actual advice does not embed in the neocortex. As a consequence, ownership doesn't happen. Only perhaps at a later stage, but often not at all. So leaders, stop being over-helpful, and enough with all that clever advice. Most of your direct reports are senior people, managers, team leads who are talented and motivated. The right way to support these people is not by trying to save them from their problems. Instead, take a step back and be their coach rather than their savior. And how to do that? Firstly, have faith in your senior colleagues' abilities. Remind yourself how many complicated problems they've already overcome in the past, and trust them that they can crack this one too. With this mindset, you will be less likely to slip into the advice-giving, problem-solving mode. Secondly, remember that as their coach, your main job is to listen. In fact, I find that in about 50% of the cases, listening with empathy is what my senior colleagues really need from me in times of crisis. They are perfectly capable of solving a difficult situation. They just want to feel that I'm there for them, that I care and support their decisions. And thirdly, stay curious and ask questions. Curiosity is actually a transformative leadership skill. If you manage to remain curious instead of having the I know the answer, let me tell you attitude, your coaching questions will reflect that openness. Good questions help your direct reports see their own challenges in a different light, and they can eventually come up with their own solutions to the problem. This way, the ownership of the project remains with them. All in all, get out of the helpful boss syndrome and start acting as a coach. And now, let me show you 2 simple but extremely powerful coaching questions that will boost your colleagues' ownership. The first one is, what do you really need now in this situation? This question will help your colleague get out of the passive complaining mode and will put them in an active frame of mind. The what do you need question will encourage them to own the problem, to actively define what they need, and to reach out towards a solution. The second question I recommend is this. What could be the first small step towards solving this issue? You see, when there is trouble, people can get overwhelmed by the complexity of the issue. On such occasions, what a person really needs is to find the very first tiny baby step towards the solution. The rest will follow. By asking your colleague to think about this, the ownership of this project will remain with them rather than gradually slipping to you. So, do you want to see more ownership in your team? Then the next time you feel your over-helpfulness bubbling up, the next time you catch yourself offering your colleagues lots and lots of great advice, just stop yourself, sit back, listen, and transform yourself into a coaching leader. If you like this video, click on the like button, share your thoughts in the comment section, and also subscribe to our channel because we'll be back soon with some more leadership insights.